Listen, what I'm about to tell you will probably make you angry at first. You might even think I'm lying. But by the end of this video, you'll realize I just saved you from wasting years of your life. She's still there, still texting, still saying I love you before bed. But here's the psychological truth that changes everything. Sometimes a person leaves emotionally long before they leave physically, and most men never see it happening until the damage is already done. What makes this so painful is that the signs are rarely dramatic in the beginning. There's no giant confession, no movie scene, no obvious betrayal. Instead, it happens quietly, slowly, through small shifts in energy, attention, effort, and emotional connection. And because the human brain is wired to protect us from emotional pain, we often explain away the signs we don't want to face. She's stressed. She's tired. Things will get better. But deep down, many men already feel the distance. They just don't want to believe it. And if you've ever sat beside someone you love while feeling completely alone, if you've ever stared at your phone wondering why the person who used to text you instantly now takes hours to respond, if you've ever felt someone becoming colder while you try harder and harder to hold things together, then this video is for you. I want you to comment below with one honest word that describes your relationship right now. Just one word. Confused. Disconnected. Hopeful. Lost. Because the truth is, thousands of people watching this are feeling exactly what you're feeling, and sometimes realizing you're not alone is the first step toward clarity. I'm Mary Smith, host of Senior Mindful Living YouTube channel, and today we're going to talk about the 5 psychological signs that a woman may have emotionally detached from a relationship. Not to shame women, not to attack anyone, but to help you understand the emotional dynamics that so many people ignore until it's too late. Because once you understand these patterns, you stop chasing illusions and start seeing reality clearly. The first sign is simple, but devastating. The effort disappears. In healthy relationships, effort feels natural. When someone genuinely loves and values you, connection is not a burden. They want to hear your voice. They want to share things with you. Even during stressful times, emotionally connected people usually move toward each other for comfort, not away from each other. That doesn't mean every relationship is perfect. Everyone gets overwhelmed sometimes. But there's a huge difference between temporary stress and emotional withdrawal. Imagine this. A man named David noticed his girlfriend stopped asking about his day. She stopped planning things. She stopped sending random messages the way she used to. At first, he told himself she was just exhausted from work, so he became more patient, more understanding. But 6 months later, she admitted something heartbreaking. At first, he told himself she was just exhausted from work, so he became more patient, more understanding. But 6 months later, she admitted something heartbreaking. I stopped feeling emotionally connected a long time ago. I just didn't know how to tell you. That's what makes emotional detachment so dangerous. It often hides behind excuses that sound reasonable. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as emotional disengagement. When the emotional reward inside the relationship fades, the brain naturally reduces investment. The behaviors that once happened effortlessly begin to feel forced. Texting feels like work, conversations feel draining, time together starts feeling like obligation instead of desire. And here's where many men make a painful mistake. They try to earn the love back through over-efforting. More gifts, more attention, more pressure. But desperation rarely rebuilds attraction. In fact, relationship researchers have found that anxious pursuit often creates even more emotional distance because the other person begins feeling trapped instead of connected. Now let's talk about something subtle that reveals more than people realize. Communication patterns. Most people think emotional disconnection means constant fighting. But often, the opposite happens first. The emotional energy disappears, the curiosity disappears, the responsiveness changes. Pay attention to this carefully. Is she slow to respond to you, but instantly available for everyone else? Does she seem emotionally alive with friends, co-workers, or social media, but emotionally absent with you? That matters. Because attention is emotional currency. We naturally invest attention into the people and experiences we feel emotionally connected to. When someone consistently deprioritizes communication with you while remaining highly engaged everywhere else, it can reveal a major shift in emotional investment. And before someone comments, people get busy, yes, of course they do. Healthy adults have responsibilities, but patterns tell the truth. A loving partner who values emotional connection usually finds small ways to stay emotionally present, even during busy seasons. Another major sign is emotional neutrality. This one shocks people because they mistake silence for peace. A woman who still deeply cares will usually react emotionally. She'll argue, she'll challenge things, she'll express frustration. Why? Because emotional investment still exists. But when someone becomes emotionally detached, they often stop fighting altogether. Suddenly, everything becomes fine. Whatever you want. I don't care. It doesn't matter. At first, this can feel like relief. Less conflict, less tension. But psychologically, emotional indifference is often more dangerous than anger. Anger still contains energy. Indifference often signals emotional withdrawal. At first, this can feel like relief. Less conflict, less tension. But psychologically, emotional indifference is often more dangerous than anger. Anger still contains energy. Indifference often signals emotional withdrawal. Relationship researcher Dr. John Gottman spent decades studying couples, and one of the strongest predictors of relationship collapse was not conflict itself, but emotional disengagement and stonewalling. When conversations stop mattering, the relationship begins losing its emotional heartbeat. When conversations stop mattering, the relationship begins losing its emotional heartbeat. Here's a difficult question I want you to ask yourself honestly. When was the last time she seemed emotionally excited to connect with you? Here's a difficult question I want you to ask yourself honestly. When was the last time she seemed emotionally excited to connect with you? Not polite, not routine, truly excited. Because routine can imitate love for a long time. Another sign people overlook is the disappearance of emotional intimacy. In the beginning of most relationships, people share their inner world naturally, their fears, dreams, random thoughts, stories, vulnerabilities. Emotional intimacy creates closeness. But when emotional detachment begins, conversations become transactional. How was work? Fine. What's wrong? Nothing. Surface level communication replaces emotional depth. And this doesn't always mean she stopped opening up entirely. Often, she simply stopped opening up to you. Maybe her friends know more about her feelings than you do. And this doesn't always mean she stopped opening up entirely. Often, she simply stopped opening up to you. Maybe her friends know more about her feelings than you do. Maybe coworkers hear her frustrations before you ever do. Maybe strangers online receive more emotional honesty than her partner at home. That shift matters deeply because emotional intimacy is one of the strongest foundations of long-term connection. Now let's talk about the future. This one is incredibly revealing. People who see you in their future naturally include you in their mental plans. It happens automatically. Trips, holidays, goals, dreams. Future conversations flow naturally when emotional connection feels secure. Now let's talk about the future. This one is incredibly revealing. People who see you in their future naturally include you in their mental plans. It happens automatically. Trips, holidays, goals, dreams. Future conversations flow naturally when emotional connection feels secure. But when someone emotionally detaches, future discussions often become uncomfortable. You bring up next summer and they change the subject. You mention long-term plans and they become vague. We'll see. I don't know. Let's not think that far ahead. Why? Because emotionally, they may already be imagining a future without you. And perhaps the most painful sign of all is this. She begins building a life that no longer emotionally includes you. She makes major decisions independently. She invests energy into new routines, new people, new goals, while your emotional role becomes smaller and smaller. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Emotional detachment rarely happens overnight. It's usually the result of unresolved resentment, unmet emotional needs, avoidance, communication breakdowns, or long periods of emotional neglect from one or both people. That's why blaming alone is useless. Understanding is more powerful. Now, if you're watching this and recognizing these signs, I need you to hear something important. Don't panic. Don't beg. Don't lose your self-respect trying to force someone to love you harder. Instead, pause and become emotionally honest. Have the difficult conversation. Ask direct questions calmly. Listen without defensiveness. And most importantly, stop ignoring reality just because reality hurts. Because sometimes relationships can heal through honesty, accountability, therapy, emotional reconnection, and genuine change from both people. But sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is accept that a chapter has ended instead of destroying yourself trying to rewrite it. And I know that's painful, but there's also freedom and clarity. The moment you stop chasing mixed signals, stop obsessing over breadcrumbs, stop trying to decode every delayed text, you begin reclaiming your peace, your confidence, and your emotional stability. And ironically, emotionally grounded people are far more attractive than desperate ones. So if this video spoke to you, take a moment and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more psychology and relationship insights that help you see human behavior clearly, not emotionally. And before you leave, I want you to answer one final question in the comments. What's the biggest sign someone has emotionally checked out of a relationship? Your answer might help someone else finally see the truth they've been avoiding.